So I ran into this amazing topic about gamifying your life, turning your life into a video game. And one of the things I actually got, like the information I actually absorbed from that specific video was everything in life requires repetition. And like, what do I mean by repetition? I mean that everything in life requires practice and doing it over and over and over again. Just like when you go to the gym, you're putting in the work, you're putting in the reps, you're putting in the time to actually obtain strength. Is the same way you should actually look and perceive your life. And everything you have planned, like let's say the goals, the things you're working towards, it's all about repetition. It is all about repetition. And that's one thing I really enjoyed about this video I watched, is that it's really crazy that if you treat your life like a video game, and that's one thing a lot of very successful like businesses, owners, and people who are doing very well for themselves try and do. They treat whatever brand, whatever business, whatever thing they're trying to produce as a video game, in the sense that you can level up in this kind of thing. And it's kind of crazy because they use it in the work industry. They'll be like, oh yeah, the longer you stay, the more you put in the days, the more you show up each and every single day, the more you're consistent, is the more you're gonna actually level up in this industry. But the difference between treating your own life as a video game and following another person's video game is there's no ceiling, there's no limit to what you can actually obtain. And with that kind of mindset and that kind of knowledge, understanding that you should start treating your life as a video game, it's like, okay, what can I reach? I always tell myself, I always tell people I talk to, that the sky is not the limit. There's no limit in this world if you put your mind to each and every single thing that you want to obtain. You point that laser. And there's one thing someone said to me, is that your life is like a laser. Life is like a laser. Certain decisions you make, the laser slowly points to whichever direction you're flowing towards. And here's one piece of knowledge I'm going to pass down, is with the idea of working and trying to create a goal, trying to obtain this goal, is that whenever you make the decision to laze about, chill, not do anything productive with your life, sit around, complain about your circumstances, you're telling yourself, and this is naturally who you actually are. A person who is a bodybuilder doesn't struggle to go to the gym. He doesn't struggle to eat healthy. It wouldn't make sense. A person who is a gamer doesn't struggle to sit 12 hours a day playing video games. If you're actually trying to be a successful person, what are certain traits, and I think I've mentioned this in my previous videos, what are certain traits that a person who is successful would have? What are those certain traits that you should adapt and actually take into your own life? And if you're able to actually look at it like this, okay, I want to be successful, I have to start having the traits of someone who's successful. That means constantly being in a state of development, constant education, constant open-minded to learn new things, constant growing and working reminder of personal brand. If you're able to actually adapt those certain qualities and traits into your own lifestyle, you're going to start noticing a change. The thing with gamifying your life is it's all about becoming all round. It's all about becoming an all-round individual. It's not just about, I'm just going to work out and become fit and that's the only stat I'm going to develop. No, you want to have better relationships. You want to build a better lifestyle. You want to build a business for yourself. You want to build better relationships with your family members, so and so, etc., whatever you're trying to develop in your life. And the thing with that is, this is what makes it interesting. If you have certain challenges, and the thing I I started realizing is life is a never-ending cycle of suffering. You're always gonna suffer. There's never gonna be a time where life is just gonna always be sweet. If you ask the most successful person on this planet, do you have problems? Do you have something you're struggling with currently? They are gonna tell you, yes, I have a problem. I have something I wanna fix. And the thing with life is, what you can take from that is you choose what you want to continue suffering with. What are the things you want to continue suffering about? If you complain that you don't have enough time, you don't want to wake up early in the morning to go work for another job, you want to have your own schedule, then create yourself your business, create yourself something that you can actually edit your own schedule to the point where no one's in control of your life. A lot of you guys fear financial problems. A lot of you guys fear being laid off from work. A lot of you guys fear not being able to find a new job. But if you have your own personal brand, you have your own business, you have your own thing you've been working on, you have your own way of sustainability, then nothing is gonna put you in that mindset, that state of fear. And what I'm trying to tell you here is to gamify your life. To go back to the topic of gamifying your life is being in that constant state of development, that constant state of growth, that constant state of willingness to learn, that constant state of advancing your own lifestyle. Educating yourself constantly will always put you at a state of advantage. Because why? The average person doesn't educate themselves daily. The average person just goes to work, comes back, chills, and repeats that cycle all over and over again, and then complains about their situation. But what I'm trying to tell you is gamifying your life will put you in a state of constant development, because instead of developing in a video game, you're actually developing what matters, like increasing in your physical stats. Maybe you want to have more cardio in the gym. You start jogging more. You want to have a little bit more abs. You want to have a little bit better arms. You want to have all these things in the gym. You start developing your stats repetition after repetition. And then you're a person who also wants to improve intelligence. You want to be like a more intelligent intellect person. You want to start reading. Then you start reading. Maybe it's 10 pages a day. Maybe it's 1,000 words a day. Maybe you read once or twice a day. You start improving your knowledge, and here's one thing that we're so blessed in our day and age. A lot of people complain about how technology has come and put us in a state of reliance of AI and all these kinds of things. We have never been in a position to develop ourselves to the maximum as we are today. Today's day and age, you can ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT lately has been my best friend. You can ask ChatGPT, what are things I could do to develop my skills? Tell me questions I could ask you so I could develop myself. How can I scale my business? You can literally send a link of your personal brand, your YouTube page, your thing, and tell ChatGPT, what can I do to actually improve myself? And today's day and age, all you really have to do is take guided steps. Take the guided steps that AI is giving you, because these are things that have been studied. AI is something that's always studying information and processing it and delivering it more to people and seeing how we actually react towards that information. So if you're a person who actually uses AI as an advantage to actually grow your personal brand, put yourself in a better position, you are gonna excel higher than you can freaking imagine. And what I'm trying to say here is, instead of complaining about how AI is taking your jobs, doing this, use AI to your advantage. Use AI to your advantage. Message AI. What can I do to scale my business? What can I do? How many times should I post a day? How many times should I do this? I'm thinking of doing this. Is this a good idea? And the thing about AI is going to tell you the results. It's going to tell you, if you do this, you're guaranteed to get this. And that's what's crazy about today's day and age is you can constantly educate yourself. Repetition in the mind. You can constantly be a better individual if you just put your mindset in that state of flow. It's all about having the flow to develop yourself. And what's crazy about all of this is a lot of people aren't taking what we have today as an advantage. Instead, we're sitting down, complaining, the more you stress about your situation in life, the further you are away from it. The more you stress about your situation in life, the further you are away from it. Because the calmest people are the people who know that what happens, I got my life under control. And one thing that you need to understand is there's a lot of people with the same goals, same mindset, but worse circumstances. Same goals, same mindset, but worst circumstances. That means there's a guy your age, 20 years old. There's a guy your age, 30 years old. There's a guy your age, 40 years old, that wants to become successful, create a personal brand, be fit, healthy, and all this, but he's sick with cancer. And what does this tell you is, whatever cards you're dealt with, you have to play your cards right. Whatever cards you're dealt with is what you have to work with. And that's what I'm saying. Life isn't fair. Boo-hoo. Now you gotta start taking the steps to develop yourself. Just like a video game. How you think to upgrade yourself in Grand Theft Auto. You should look at that to develop yourself in the real freaking world, because no one is gonna come save you. If you wake up each and every single morning, and part of being a healthy individual is going to the gym, staying in shape, taking cold showers, and you take cold showers and you treat it as a game. You say, okay, this week I gotta take 7 cold showers and I upgrade to the next level. This may sound corny to a lot of people who don't have the mindset to develop themselves to the point of no return. But those who want to develop themselves will be like, that's a good way to actually push myself and motivate myself to actually start taking good steps towards my lifestyle. And one crazy thing is, a lot of people will say, oh, I work 16 hours a day, I do this, but there's no state of balance, there's no state of actual proper workflow. If you actually gamify yourself, you put your life, make it have structure, from what you're eating, to how much money you're spending, to what you're consuming on a daily basis, how much education you're absorbing in a week, how much time you're placing to your own business, you will start to see the stats start to go up in each and every single part of your life. A lot of us are told in today's day and age, oh, you can't have this to chase this. Let's say they'll be like, oh, you can't work on your relationships with your family, your friends, your girlfriend as the same, and also have a proper relationship with your business, like working on your business to develop yourself to the point where you want to be. But what I'm trying to tell you is, this is what makes life more interesting. Create challenges for yourself like that. Ask yourself, how am I going to build $1 billion corporation and be building the relationships in my life with my family, my friends, my girlfriend, whatsoever you have in your life? Ask yourself, okay, how am I going to balance this and balance that at the same time and actually see progress in both areas of my life? And that's the thing a lot of us don't want to say. We'll be like, nah, you can't do that. You hear all these red pill guys, oh, you can't do this, so and so, you can't do this, so and so, you got to focus all on this. No, life is a video game. You got to improve all stats of your life. Maybe you're very intelligent, and I'm talking to someone right now. Maybe you're very intelligent, you have so many ideas, but you're just not confident. How do you work on that? You have to start approaching people. You have to start developing your communication skills. You have to start putting yourself out there. And what's crazy about this whole thing is that it's all repetition. It's all about being able to control your mind and putting yourself in the position to grow. You know, so if I was a person who wanted to structure my life to become a successful brand owner, I would do each and every single step. I would work towards that. I would start waking up early in the morning, taking my brand serious, doing what I gotta do. Maybe you work a 9 to 5. After your 9 to 5, you go to the gym because you're also prioritizing health. You go to the gym, you come back, you start immediately on your business. You know, and I know there's a lot of people with families, but that's what makes it a game. You gotta figure out what works for you. No one's gonna come and give you the answers, you know? And that's crazy. Like, what you need to understand is, no one's gonna come and just give you the answers. Yo, James, this is what you gotta do. You have a daughter, so you're gonna do this at 9 p.m. No, that's not how it works. You have to figure out what you can do for yourself. And another thing I heard is being in a state of anxiousness. Like, if you're too anxious about the thing you're trying to obtain, that means that goal you've set is way too high for yourself. And if you're too bored about that goal you've set for yourself, that means that goal is too easy. You know, you got to find something that's more fulfilling, more challenging, to actually challenge your mental state, challenge who you are as a person. You know, I'm not saying put a whole bunch of difficult stuff in your life to make life interesting. What I'm trying to say is challenge yourself regularly. Maybe once in a while, you're not so good at talking to girls, approach girls once in a while. When you see a girl you actually like, walk up to her and talk to her. It's all about repetition. Before you know it, yes, you will be good at talking to girls. Maybe your first approach is gonna be so bad, you're gonna be like, damn, bro, why did I do that? Oh, that's so embarrassing. She rejects you, or maybe she ignores you. But then you're gonna look at your 50th approach. You're gonna be like, it's not even that bad, actually. Even if I mess up, it's not. Who cares? And I've mentioned this in a previous video. People who are successful all have similar states of mind. People who succeed in things they want, things they actually set goals for themselves, all have similar mindsets. What is the mindset? They're all in a calm state of mind. They understand that it's all about repetition. It's all about repetition. And you know, gamifying your lifestyle, gamifying your life will make you understand that it's a motivation to work. You're not gonna need external motivation. You're just gonna be like, okay, look, I just gotta calm down, put myself in a calm state of mind. When you're playing a video game, you're not riled up. I'm not saying you don't care, you care because you're playing it, but like, you're not in a state of anxiety, you're not like stressing, you're not panicking. You're just playing the game, you're trying to figure it out. And maybe it's confusing, but you work through the challenges and you try and get to the position you want to be in life, you know, in the game, you know. But transfer that same mindset to your life. You know, it's not going to be easy at first, but after you work, you do constant repetitions, trying to be all around, you know, all around physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally buff. You know, being an all-around individual is going to put you further and further than the average person, you know. And I'm going to say one thing before I end this topic is, what does the average person have in common? They don't do what the people who are successful do. They're not consistent. They don't build something personal. They don't do something more than just their 9 to 5. You got to be willing to put in the work, the energy, the time. You know, really, that's all I got to say for this video. If you guys are new to this channel, like and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this information. This was one of the topics that I really enjoyed spreading because I felt enlightened. I just thought I would put it in a video and post it. Y'all have a good day. Happy Monday, y'all. Take care.